Thompson Bristle in your base? Artor's PA in your face? VP are out of place. TI Day 2! Welcome back to New Meta Podcast, daily coverage of TI9. Second day of the main event, 4 series, 2 in the upper bracket, 2 in the lowers. And after 4 teams were eliminated yesterday, we waved goodbye to 2 more today. Joining me, Marco and Adam. Marco, welcome to the pod.
Thank you.
Adam, also, welcome to the pod as well. Second daily of the main event.
Hello.
Hey. In terms of content, not as much to discuss today as yesterday because obviously the opening ceremony was yesterday. I did think they had a cool games recap of yesterday. That's probably worth watching if you didn't manage to catch hardly any of the action from yesterday. They had cool, the capitalist voiceover highlights of the day before. I think they ran those out again. I thought that was quite cool. And then random content pieces. I don't know how much content you've been able to catch, Adam, but have you got a favourite content piece so far?
Dead Yang.
Yeah, Dead Yang was pretty good, yeah.
Watching it not live, I just had to skip through all of it to try and fit in as much as possible.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Yeah.
I think there's so much downtime between the games.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the same with us as well. So, Dead Yang was a good one. I like how they get ROTK to just shout at all of Vici. Play his character well. That was a good one. I can't remember. Is there any others that we've seen?
I mean, there's been some Casey interviews with team players, but they've always been a bit tame. There was that, the Slacks eating, those...
Chicken wings?
Yeah, like the
that
Chinese
was the Alliance
food.
Chicken wings. The dim sum or something. I can't remember the name of the dish. Dumplings. Slacks were eating dumplings. We quickly skipped that.
Yeah.
Nothing's really...
You missed the OG content piece today was cool, where they went to Australia. That was pretty interesting. Talking about...
That's a hard skip from me. Hard pass.
They talked about like motivation and stuff. That was quite cool. And then I think there was another one that I'm thinking of that escapes me. But yeah, I've had to skip a lot of them. With the upper bracket teams, they can hold them because the lower bracket teams, if they've got content on them, they usually just get them out quick. So if the team's eliminated, it's a bit awkward. So I don't know. Let's get to the Dota though. First game of the series today was OG versus Newbee. OG convincing 2-0. Much the same as last year when they played VGJ Storm. Game 1, probably the last time that OG are going to get IO in the tournament. Probably. They get it on Ana. Very comfortable, weird, pub lineup. I mean, Marco, you remember much about this game? First one of the day, kind of.
It was really stompy with the IO pick again. The 3 heroes Newbee banned were Ench, Chen, Mag. So I think Chen and Mag are very justified bans, but an Ench, I'm not as convinced on his hero. We've seen OG smash with IO. I think it's Ana's most common group stage hero.
Yeah.
Come on, Newbee. Have a bit of sense and ban the IO, but they don't. But then, me and Stan, we were talking about how we think the pick that Newbee could have really done well with, they last pick Lifestealer, because on OG side, they've got 4 strength heroes. They've got ET, IO, Omni, Bristleback, very chunky heroes. Pick a Timbersaw. Play a bit bold. Lifestealer's not getting online this game, which he didn't. Pick a Timbersaw and just win your lanes, survive the game, because OG typically don't let you survive the game, i.e. 27-minute win. So, I mean, overall, OG get this really classic IO draft that we've seen multiple times in the group and just smash. But I honestly think with a Timber instead of the Lifestealer, I think Newbee could have had a shot, but they just crumbled game 1.
Who would play the Timber?
Yuar. Put him on pos 1. The last pick was Lifestealer on Yuar.
I mean, he might not play it though.
I mean, come on. It's not that hard. You should... I mean, it's hard, but you're a pro player, so no excuse. Even if you had to mix it up and I mean, Snaking's on his iconic Beastmaster short. It's just not that hard to play a Timber.
Mm.
They just never came on. No one ever came online.
No.
And then, like, with this game, and then also we'll talk about in the next series, Mid Tiny did not have a good showing. Both the times it was picked. And then, honestly, it's kind of cool how, IO Bristle has been a thing, same as like IOPA or IO Gyro. But it's really cool when it's core IO with a core Bristleback, because they're just both so tanky. And then they just stacked everything onto Bristle. It's the Solar Crest, the Heavenly Grace, I guess a bunch of other auras, and he was just nigh unkillable with Overcharge and Tether.
Yeah,
it was a classic OG game of just, we're literally playing for this 5-minute window where we're so strong that we'll just go high ground. And then they basically did that. I mean, they dived the fountain in the end just because they have a Bristleback with an IO heart that's tethered to him. I mean, just getting triple kills in the fountain. In terms of the drafting, though, I think Newbee will have had a day off, and they probably backed themselves to beat the IO core, because they must expect it, because it's OG's most picked hero for Ana.
I'm sure they just thought CC would just, blink Tiny combo him, or I don't know what they were going to do with board position Visage, like the birds, if they're necessarily that good against
no
IO. I mean, you do get good bird stomps. Same with the Grimstroke pick. Like, they had Grimstroke into double Primal Roar, but they actually never really did that because
I think the Seb Omni would be my shout out and final comment on that game. I think that Omni Knight provided the buffer that means a Visage Beastmaster Tiny looking to blow up heroes and create a bit of space for your lifesteal never could happen. And then you synergize the Omni with the Bristleback, the unkillable Bristleback's just running down lanes, hitting heroes, and with a one roll that is farming that hard, I don't think Newbee could ever have a chance. So yeah, pretty rough.
Yeah. Looking ahead to game 2, kind of more competitive. They don't get the IO this time. Interesting draft, I felt, from both teams. We got to see the Monkey Trove Carafe item. That was cool. I was thinking this morning that was our best chance of seeing it, given that Topson's probably the most premier Monkey King player there is at TI. So that was cool to see. But, so again, just sort of shut down. Monkey gets a perfect lane against the Ember. Ench doesn't really stop Ana from farming at all. Trees running around being annoying in the jungle for Sven and stuff like that. And in the end, it's quite convincing again with Ana 12-0 on a empowered Jug. Topson 17-2 on Monkey King, flying around the map.
I think the biggest crux is, despite the fact Newbee and CCNC on his Ember, they first blood Topson's Monkey, even though that happened, Topson was still able to turn the lane around, and he was out of control far too early on. I can't remember his kill score exactly, but by level 5-6, he had clawed back 2 kills, 3 kills even, and then from the start of the mid-game onwards, he's just flying around. It's too strong, and then they've got a Jug with an Empower just farming way faster than the Sven ever could. And then it felt like, how do Newbee stop this sliding out of control? It's hard to answer.
Yeah, they got... So Topson got 2 solo kills on CCNC to turn the lane around, and then there was a moment where they 3-man gank mid with Earthshaker Shadow Demon. Topson mans up on CCNC, gets a big... gets his Jingu proc and then gets a full heal with his Boundless Strike and kills the Earthshaker and gets back. So a 3-man gank on Topson mid. I think No Tail's Grimstroke does arrive, so it's not a complete 3-on-1, but it starts as a 3-on-1 and it ends up being a kill for Monkey King, and then at that moment it was really felt like the lanes had just been lost, and they did lose every lane in this game, I feel. I remember Seb Mag had really good farm, and particularly the snaking Ench had nothing at the start of the game. That's one of my memories.
Yeah, so MSS was on an Earthshaker. He never was able to apply enough or any pressure on the mid or the farm of OG because on the other hand, Sven, which was Newbee's hard farmer, was pretty shut down. I mean, his farm wasn't that great, and Anna it felt like free farm plus Empower. Seb somehow had fat farm, so yeah, our OG really schooled them.
Yep. Let's jump to a more interesting series then, that being Secret versus EG, which I think for a lot of people, including us, this is the matchup we're most looking forward to. Hoping for 3 games, which is exactly what we got. But let's start with game 1. EG getting the victory here. 48 minutes. We saw some... Well, actually, do you want to talk us through this one, Adam? Or some things you remember about that first game?
I was falling asleep while I was watching it. Staying up so late the night before. Recommended, do not lay in your bed and watch it on your phone, because you will... just asking to fall asleep. But this game, I mean, mid one, middle, Tiny ended up 3-12-5. So that can kind of just tell you how the game went. He would like blink forward and try and toss people back, but then he would just die. And they did a really good job with rotating on middle and killing mid one over and over again. He never really got a game. I think if you can hold the Tiny, a core or a support Tiny, if you can hold them down to where they just don't get like the blink, echo,
snowball,
Daedalus, Ags. Like, yeah, if they're really kind of underwhelming once they blow their combo. And if they're behind, they don't really kill anyone. And then they just are in a really hard position. Like they're really forward and then they just die.
Yeah, I mean, Marco was happy to point out through the game that mid one was struggling. Marco, infamous mid one hater.
Yeah.
But I think mid one, he tried, particularly in this game, but I think throughout the series until the last game, he tried too hard to be a pure space creation mid laner for this super Omega position 1 Nisha. Tried too hard, one in the sense of it wasn't really working because they don't have some Nisha, Naga Siren, anti-mage, pure one, and that's the end of it. And also, he sacrificed way too much of his own farm. As both Invoker, which we'll get onto in game 2, and also Tiny in this game, he's running around the map just completely forgoing farm, trying to make speculative kills happen, and just not working against EG. They're too hard to kill, whether it's with Stampede, Echo Stomp, turnarounds, and, Warcry and all the rest of it. Too hard to kill, and like Adam said, once that combo falls off, suddenly you find yourself with no farm. 1, because you've been shut down, and 2, because you're trying too hard to make stuff happen, I feel like.
Yeah, I think the Samael's mid performance was just multiple classes above mid one. If you look at the end of the game, Samael's got the most last hits and the most hero damage. I think he was minute 12, he was 406, 100% kill involvement in EG's kills, just all over the map making kills happen. But at the same time, in contrast to the Tiny, his farming was bonkers, which was so big because it made him be this, not just a damage dealing magic pony, but he became super fat as well with the likes of Ashiva, Octarine eventually.
Kaya Sanj.
He's like on par with the beefiness of Sven, and Tiny was nothing like that. So Samael was so good this game, but even maybe a nudge better than Samael's Lesh was Crit's Windrunner.
So good.
Oh my god, Crit, this position 4, I think position 4 Windrunner is so hard to pull off because what are you relying on to like make plays happen? You've got a shackle and you've got a power shot. Oh, to me, I think it's such a hard hero to make work in this position, but he was around the map making kills happen. So he was just always in the right place. It was incredible. Then he transitions into semi-damage. He got this pretty quick Maelstrom.
12
then
minute.
He went
pretty quick. That's amazingly quick.
He got Javelin pre-boots.
He got Maelstrom pre-boots, doesn't he?
Did he?
I think
he doesn't get boots until 20 minutes in the game, I think, because he goes Bassi, Maelstrom, Wand.
Yeah.
And then I think he gets boots.
Then he goes back for Greaves because he recognises that overall EG do need someone to be holding Greaves that game. Perfect itemization, but it's just insane the work he did. It's hard to understand how it's possible.
I mean, once he got level 20, he got a fast level 20, and then he was in Viz running around.
Yeah.
It was so hard to deal with.
For sure.
Honestly, standout performance.
But honestly, there were so many 2-man hoof stomps in this game as well.
Yeah.
S4 played a really good centaur.
Counter-initiating with hoof stomps, or there'd be an engagement happens, and then he'd find the backline or find the secret allies running in, and then suddenly they'd be 2-3-man hoof stomps. He played really, really well. And Artol was super consistent on the Sven, so super impressive first game.
Yep. And I think Secret, after this game, they got a better draft in general, in the sense that I don't think Zion and Ench is like it's not the Zai hero I have in mind. And also Nisha was there was at least one, I can't quite remember exactly what happened, but I know there was like a chokey death where he didn't BKB or something.
There was the one to Lesh where he BKBs and TPs out, but the Edict kills him in time because Lesh is 25, and it goes through the BKB.
Yeah, and he could have TP'd earlier.
I don't know if there was any other...
Yeah. Well, anyway.
But yeah, solid game from EG game 1. Game 2, so like you say about Ench, Zai, game 2, it's a completely different story. You've got Zion Enigma, which is late game one of the strongest heroes in the game, if not the strongest hero, when he's got Lincoln's BKB and maybe an Ags. I don't know if he ever got that, but Refresher he had eventually, and it's just the ultimate late game spell that wins games, Black Hole, and putting Zion a hero like that I think is so much more powerful. But that's one point about the draft.
I mean, this was with game 1 and game 3, not to get ahead, but offlane Enchantress had a hard time on either side. It's just sometimes Enchantress doesn't get a game based off of how early you draft it, and then people draft around that. The second game, I thought S4 played really, really well in the first 2 games of the series. So he was on Tidehunter, and he had a ton of sick ravages. If you only can watch one game from yesterday, it'd be this game because it was Team Fight Central. We had a Tidehunter and then a rubric for EG, and then we had Earthshaker, Faceless Void, and Enigma, and an Invoker.
Yeah,
for Secret. So it was just Giga team fights, and then crit. It was just a song and dance with whether or not Black Hole is going to get stolen. I think even Chrono got stolen one time, and is actually used in a good way. Maybe take some notes, Stan, on that.
I think EG... So, like Bulba said before the game, and this is something a few of us have mentioned, the game's going to come down to who uses spells better. Both have got very solid drafts. You couldn't really fault either draft. I think both teams are pretty comfortable on them. Maybe Nisha Void is uncommon to him, I'm not certain, but definitely the rest of Secret's lineup are pretty comfort heroes. But I do think that EG cracked more so than Secret this game, because it was, a 16k gold lead
for EG
that Dota Buff says they have, maybe 30, 35 minutes in the game.
But that went back down to 12 and for the other way. And then it was just like whoever won that team fight and bought back and then lost, and then it just went, the last 20 minutes went way back and forth, 20k either way. It
was swingy, and the buybacks was very integral, I feel. I think EG's buyback usage was poor. I think they had... I can't remember exactly, but I'm sure there was...
S4 got forced into a buyback away from a team
fight.
fight.
Wasted one as well.
Yeah, and Sumo.
And it can seriously hurt if you waste them. But I think they had an advantage that they... I know there's always this threat of the Zai Black Hole, and I think the game was won by Zai because there was one, if not two fights where, like when he revealed BKB or revealed Refresher, I can't remember, that the Black Holes won the team fights, in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, the Twitch clip of the final team fight, Zai played out of his mind because he refreshed BKB'd, and then I think to dodge a Ravage, he canceled a Black Hole early, then refreshed BKB'd so he would get stunned, and then Shadow Bladed in, and that's how he got the 3-man that they were able to do the... It got to a point where Mid One finally became a hero. Mid One was not a hero on Invoker for the first 45 minutes of the game, and he got a refresher at 45 minutes, and then they team fought around double Cataclysm, and they actually did things. So
Chrono Cataclysm is a deadly combo.
For sure. I would say, we talked about Zai winning the game, but to be fair to Nisha, he whiffed a chrono, and I had my head in my hands doing the like choke to Marco.
Yeah,
like,
Stomp was on the floor choking.
Yeah, I was like, Nisha's just choked this game. But then he recovers and then comes back and gets the chrono on. I believe it was Crit Arteezy at the end, jumping from one side of the river to the other to get it, or rather across river. That was a really sick chrono, actually, to just like go for it in
really
that
ballsy.
moment. Finding Crit effectively won them the game, because it was really interesting, the song and dance between Crit and Zai during the entire game about stealing Black Hole. Crit only stealing it once in the game, and I believe getting it off once, and then dying with a refresh orb. Just these very tense knife edge fights that they were having at the end. So
that was the story. Of the first 25 minutes was that
he didn't use it. Yeah.
Well, S4 used Ravage like off cooldown, and they just kept winning fights, and then and then Zai didn't use it once in the first like 25 minutes because he didn't want to get it stolen. And then what you said at the end, Nisha getting Crit saved the game won the game because Rubik didn't have buyback, and he dies with an Ags refresher shard in his inventory. Like if he got with Ags Black Hole with a refresher shard,
he had Black Hole stolen at that point.
Yeah, he just was waiting.
Yeah,
so good catch.
Sad. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, me and Marco were getting ready.
Yeah,
when we saw Crit with refresher, Ags, and with Black Hole stolen, we were like, "Oh boy, like, this could be."
There's going to be a green Black Hole too.
Yeah, it would have been sick, but wasn't to be in the end. This is one of those games where, because it's secret EG at TI, it's just so tense. Like the downtime almost like adds to it.
Yeah,
because it just builds the tension. Because you're already so invested in these two teams. So that was really cool to see. It was cool to have a standoff kind of game. Reminded me a little bit of your like Archon pubs where it's like 5v5 standoff mid.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Game 3 though, this was the most interesting game in general, and also the most surprising game. Secret had a huge lead in this game. They ran mid as a Slark. They had Nisha on Weaver, Zai on Sand King, Yapzor playing a Mirana, running around arrowing neutral creeps, and then Puppy on Ogre, pretty safe. Whereas me and Marco both thought that EG messed up this draft. And I still believe they did mess up this draft a lot.
Yeah, they did.
Because Secret was so far ahead, and they really threw this game.
But like S4 said in the post-game interview, he said that, yes, one of our strengths as EG is this early game lane dominance, but our mid-late game style was weak, and so we've looked to learn from Chinese teams. I think they were still happy. I think they were happy to run a mag draft with a PA and go, we're going to get late, and we're going to go late and win it late. I'm not as confident as them, and I wouldn't want to see this mag draft run, but I think they were anticipating to lose early. Probably not as hard. I think
they lost really hard.
They lost probably too hard, but credit to them, they held on and got it late where the strategy comes in play.
Definitely, yeah. It got to a point where Arteezy has Deso BKB with a Solar Crest on him.
Abyssal Satanic.
Yeah, I mean Abyssal Satanic later, but even just before that, he could blow Weaver in an RP duration, and when that like split happened, that sort of like tipped the game. But before that, the lanes were kind of rough, and I personally really wanted to see them pick OD at the end for EG and put Arteezy on Ember, because I thought it was an excellent OD game. And then when they picked PA, it's like, oh, not sure about Arteezy on PA, not sure about Ember against Slark mid, and they do kind of lose this early game. And it looks over for them. Was it 92% win percentage?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
They just like started to leak over the map.
Zai leaked a couple times, honestly.
Who's Secret started to leak? Oh,
they just had some weird team fights, and like Sand King when S4 played Sand King maybe in a different series. And if you just focus the Sand King over and over again, they just don't really get a game. And like he fell behind, like he was very far ahead on items. And then if you just kill the Sand King at the beginning of every fight, and they have to buy back and stuff, they just don't ever keep up. And then they become kind of not tanky and annoying.
Yeah, Zai had a really bad game on Sand King.
12 minutes Zai has Veil Blink on Sand King. He's got the game at his
on his fingertips.
Come on, it's like you've got everything you need. His levels in gold are so strong.
Kill any hero.
But he really faltered. And I think it's more, no offense, but discredit to him rather than credit to EG that Zai's game kind of went haywire.
Yeah, I would agree. I love Zai. He's one of my favourite players. But, like, he took the most bizarre fights, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing when he would jump into, like, 4 heroes. His team's not even there.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're so important. There was 1 epicenter cast in this game.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That was the one that they didn't even need. The one where they killed S4 mid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
After that, they didn't do an epicenter. There's maybe 1 at the end, like, but no big epicenters.
It would always get disrupted or something. It would get removed.
Yeah, so I think they could, obviously, Secret failed to capitalize on their advantage. But I think if they ran this game back and say they could jump back into 15 minutes in maybe a less pressurized situation, they wouldn't. I think they definitely fancy their chances. Having said that, though, I do definitely believe that EG are more comfortable, based on their interviews and stuff, they're probably more comfortable running this kind of strategy where they're expecting to be behind after the lanes than they were in the past.
Yeah.
When, like what you said, when they used to be more of a lanes-orientated team.
Yeah, I think that's really good to see. I think it's important for TI as well when games more commonly are a little bit more conservative, tense, dragged a bit later. So I think EG really showed that they've got that resilience. I also think they knew themselves how to execute the draft. They knew exactly, they just needed to get farmed PA and Ember. They knew where their timing was. Whereas I think Secret they smashed the first 10 minutes, like Sanking, Potem, Ogre, smashing it in the lane, but then felt a little bit disconnected about how we really closed the game out. And I think mid one was one of their weakest links. He finishes the game 1-4-3, 4 kill involvement in a 40-minute game, and he had the ultimate dream start, 8-minute Midas. He was pushed Sumail out of the mid lane with some rotation help. He was so farmed, but what's the point if you're not going to put it to work, or you're not going to lead your team to tier 3s? Like, they cleaned up tier 2s pretty well, but then where's the rush? Where's the high ground push when PA doesn't have BKB yet?
Yeah.
Never happened.
To be fair, though, like, Zai has 10 deaths on a Sand King. It's like your most important hero.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think mid one did fine just to be that far ahead in the game. The reason they couldn't then capitalize is because I feel like he did, I don't know what his hero damage is. Okay, 10k, like nothing. Yeah. Niche had, 32k? Yeah, I guess fair enough. Fair to criticise mid one just in general, regardless of what your Sand King's doing.
Yeah, Niche had decent hero damage, but again, I feel like he was farming too much. And I feel like, mid one, I think, definitely was farming too much, and then it allowed the space and time for a PA and an Ember with an Empower to claw their way back in the game, and that's really what they did. I mean,
I don't think they didn't claw it. I think they were gifted it, to be fair. Because the 2 big moments when Secret went to take a fight, Zai died right at the start.
Yeah.
And then they just backed us 4. And then you've got like a death timer duration on Sand King to then get farm on all your heroes and push lanes out and stuff.
I think EG took really good fights though, in that the spell usage, I think, was near perfect.
It's really good.
S4, despite getting shit on, like we said, in the lane, having little gold, I felt like he outputted a lot of damage, loads of damage. I think Crit got a couple really important RPs. I think Sumail on his Ember couldn't be faulted. I think Fly is really comfortable and was making very good disruption saves, and then Artor was able to blow heroes up, and Team Secret, they didn't execute their fights well at all. So.
EG was so much more cutthroat than Secret in terms of when they've got an edge in a fight, or when they think they might have an edge in an engagement. Arteezy didn't hesitate jumping in this game. It surprised me. He would just jump in on a hero, and it's like, oh my goodness, they like blew him. Like, that's shocking that they would just cutthroat go for that. Which is you couldn't say the same thing about Secret, or maybe you could, but they just messed it up a lot.
Yeah, which is maybe not characteristic of Secret, having such a lead and not being able to close out a game. But I'm just super hyped that EG pulled through. Oh my god.
There was one really sweet play in this game with the Ogre Mirana Weaver gank on Sumail in the Dire jungle, where they knew Sumail was around. They saw where he placed his remnant, and they just had Weaver Sakuchi, made him Remnant to the Remnant with an ogre standing right there for the stun with the arrow follow-up, and they killed him. Man, that was class.
That was really cool, yeah, for sure. That's a good shout for play of the game, perhaps.
They made a perfect triangle, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Because they had the Weaver go up to be the top point, and then Ember goes to the bottom right where Ogre is, and then you have to be far away for the arrow for it to even be good. So it's like a triangle gank. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
The final comment I want to make, I know I'm waving my EG flag extremely hard, but I was impressed by Sumail's game because he's typically this mid player that wants to be tempo and running the show. This game was not that game, and if he tried to find hero kills, or if he tried to do anything a bit too flashy or make a little two-man gank happen, it wouldn't have worked and they would have lost the game. Instead, Sumail knew he had to put his head down using power to just farm, delay, able to get his BKB, which then nullified nearly all of Secret's damage, was able to get an Ags, made him super potent in fights, and it, to me, showed a very different playstyle to the standard Sumail, and he executed it pretty perfectly, so I'm super psyched.
Also, in the game 1 that they won, they loved farming stacks.
Though they did stacks incredibly well, yeah.
That's what they've been learning from the Chinese teams, maybe. You've been watching the Vici Ori Snorri Dusa highlights.
90% win rate on Medusa. How do we do this?
Yeah, triple stacks everywhere. Looking forward to... Well, I was going to say looking forward to RNG versus VP, the next series, but I'm also looking forward to OGEG tomorrow. That's going to be a hype matchup. But that's for later. RNG versus VP. This whole series was honestly just kind of hard to watch.
Yeah.
VP, man, I don't know what's up with this team, but...
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace,
so
indeed.
sad.
Yeah, really sad game. And this first game, the RNG get Alchemist on 10th, on pick 10, so basically the second pick of their first phase. First of all, it's one of the first games today, maybe the only game today that it got through first phase. And the fact that it doesn't even get picked first, second, or third, and they pick it up on 10 is kind of interesting. Monet playing, I think, all-round a pretty good Alch. This game was back and forth, and VP definitely looked ahead at points.
Oh, they had a 3K lead against an Alch.
They were
that usually means you're winning pretty well.
Definitely.
It was something wasn't it 90% Dota buff or something crazy like that?
Maybe high 80s.
Maybe high 80s.
I mean, yeah,
okay.
to have a 3k lead against Alch in the mid game is unreal, but it's sad because it wasn't RNG doing some crazy impressive plays. VP just individually and then cohesion as a team just crumbles. There was one moment where it looked like a pub game where Lifestealer commits on this Shadow Demon, some POS 5 Shadow Demon, commits his rage and gets purged and is trying to chase him, then Storm just zips away, complete 180 direction, rather than A, either saved in Lifestealer or B, killed the Shadow Demon, just completely...
Could have infested into Storm and then buzzed off, or just finished the Shadow Demon.
Just helped get the kill, just completely not on the same page, and there's a few moments like that where the execution and just as a team was not there. It's really sad to see.
There was another moment bottom I remember where I can't remember if it's Nolan or I think it's Ramses that's a dying bottom. Pasha comes in to saves him.
Oh yeah,
throws out that Ravage.
Blink Ravage. Yeah. Ramses is already dead. It was close, of course, as it would be, but Ramses is already dead. He throws out a Ravage for nothing and then just runs off, and it's like, ugh, that's so awkward.
2 minutes
watch.
gone.
Yeah.
There was
so many moments like that, and then just
plays, yeah.
And then also the ones that were more RNG making it happen. They baited VP to engage on an illusion twice in this game.
Oh yeah.
Won a fight where they jump with a Storm Spirit bomb onto a Lesh illusion, which wastes a lot of no one's mana. They then do jump and get both of the support kills, that being Shadow Demon and Shadow Shaman, on RNG. But because of the mana lost and just the time wasted and stuff, no one ends up dying in the fight. They might even get wiped.
Maybe even no rage as well.
Yeah, used rage or something. So rough game.
It's not draft was fine. Game execution, game plan going fine. 3k lead, but serious throw.
Both of these two games fly by, man. On the tanky offlaner, very sick. At Abaddon with the shields, with the just lasting forever, healing people, silencing things. Solar Crest team, Monet.
Abba's such an NA hero.
And yet, here it is on the Chinese team.
Winning games for fun, yeah. Game 2. Okay, so this game, Monet has an incredible game on the Void. Again. VP, though, they have a lead for most of the game. Small, I think, never really getting above 2k at the max. But nevertheless, it gets to a point and RNG get a big fight around the Roche, I believe. They get Aegis on Monet and then they just barrel. And VP kind of just crumble.
But again, the fight around Roche, to me, it was VP taking and executing a poor fight. It wasn't like to me, it wasn't like RNG did some sick fight. There was some solo golem on one hero and then +1 VP going for that hero, but then elsewhere there was focus on some other people, so it's all disjointed, and then RNG have, the Omni, which makes just your whole team super tanky, and Void, which needs to get blown, and they have this over time less damage, and they were like, hey, VP, you've taken and this fight in a way that just favours us, and I felt like that happened a few times again. VP just looking really poor.
Yeah. Adam, do you have any thoughts on this game, Game 2?
This one was I just didn't feel close.
Yeah.
They go on with the last series where when Nisha played Wraith King, right? Sometimes it feels real bad. You know what I mean? It just feels like it.
Have we seen it feel good anytime?
Yeah, I've seen it feel really good. I think at Infamous when Hector played it.
Hector's a Wraith King god, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's just... Yeah. It's a razor's edge of his item timings are all really fine. It's just a matter of the rest of the team playing around it. And I guess if you can bait people into going on Wraith King, like Wraith King should be good against Void because you use the chrono for the first life, right?
Yeah.
But it just didn't work out that way. I feel no one has just been off this entire tournament. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't seem like the God gamer that he normally is. I don't know if that's just like they're all tired of playing one another because they've been together for like 3 years or what. It just seems like they're just not on the same page that they
I agree.
Used to be. Even though he did solo kill a Leshrac in this game as a gyro.
First blood, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the pressure of 2 previous TIs and 2 previous DPC seasons of you are VP, you're crushing it all year. Like 2 years ago, the number 1 in the DPC, last year, top 4, whatever. Okay, top 6 TI. Okay, pressure, we've got to do better. Top 6 TI. Now it's just all... It's like an avalanche now if there's just too much expectation, too much pressure. Maybe they've been going together for too long so that there's a bit of friction and it's all just come crumbling down.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because in the preview show, we talked about how VP coming into this TI as not the favourites was going to benefit them.
Yeah.
But it's almost as if it's just they've underperformed again, but they've come in with an even lower expectations, and now they've just underperformed even more than they underperformed previous years. And I agree with Adam. No one, honestly... It's particularly obvious here because everything is amplified at TI and everything's under a microscope at TI, but even just the whole season, he wasn't as good as he was the season before or the season before that, in the sort of pre-TI7 and the pre-TI8, which is sad to see because sometimes this guy's an absolute monster. We've all seen the games. But yeah, this event particularly just not doing it for VP. And it was sad to see them eliminated at this stage, particularly because they were eliminated by RNG, who no one really cares about.
Hey, sir, did you not hear that Chinese crowd? They were losing their minds over RNG.
They were loving hype,
it. RNG chants.
Do you think Solar Crest is the best item of the tournament?
It's got to be the standout item. I think Bassi and Solar Crest.
Yeah, I think so too. Just like, hey, give your Faceless Void 80 attack speed. That's pretty good, right? It's like actually makes some heroes pickable.
Yeah, definitely. And it feels like the offlaners that can fit in, or just the heroes that can fit in a solar.
Well, just like I guess both games, for the OG or for the EG Secret Series, when the offlane Enchantress fell behind, what did they buy? Not damage items. They bought Solar Crest. And just like, at least I can make somebody else have a game. And it worked out for EG.
Yeah, 12 armor, 80 attack speed. It used to just be armor, right?
And it used to give like true strike chance, I guess, or something.
Right, accuracy or whatever.
Yeah.
Final series of the day then: TNC versus Team Liquid. This was kind of a great series to watch. I actually enjoyed watching these games. I mean, I was hoping that Team Liquid were going to get the win in both games, and they did, which has added to my enjoyment. I actually thought for the first time in the tournament almost, Liquid actually looked comfortable and they were playing comfort heroes and they actually had a cool strategy in mind. They knew what they were doing and they did it well. First of all, straight off the bat in game one, what stands out to me when I look at the DotA buff and when I remember the game, I just watched it not long ago at all before doing this recording. Just all the heroes, they're all on comfort heroes to my mind. Kuroki Chen, he knows how to play Chen. Maybe not puppy level Chen, but super comfort. GH Tusk plays his hero loads. And then most importantly, the cores, because I feel like with Weehar, that's where Mind Control is going to play his offlaners. That's never changed. Tide Hunter, I thought he played really well. But Weehar and Miracle, who plays this hard carry? Who's doing the big damage? Are we going to run Weehar on like a Meepo, some Bio-Wendell position 1 and do like a Bloodseeker on Miracle? Or are we going to do Weehar as like a fake Matumba on a Necro like we saw in their best of 1 yesterday? But in this game, they just do pure duo core. Weehar TA, he's had so much success on this hero. Even in this event, when Liquid have struggled, when he's on TA, he looks good. And Miracle Troll, when I think of Liquid winning TI7, I think of Miracle Troll in the around the Roche pit in that series against Secret where they almost got knocked out. And this is a classic Miracle hero. So I think just straight off the bat, it was cool to see them all on comfort heroes playing well in this series.
Yeah, it looks like the most Team Liquid yet at this tournament. Usually Team Liquid is this competent draft where they kind of look really assured all game. I feel like in this series, all through game 1 and all through game 2, I felt confident in them, and the draft, they knew exactly what they wanted to do. Like you said, comfortable. I mean, Heen is the ex-Liquid coach of TNC. After game 1 draft, he goes, Casey's asking him some question, and he's like, well, this draft they've just done, Liquid, well, we were drafting that together, TI7. It's feels like the most iconic Liquid draft. And so I tell my team, like, let's focus on what you can do, etc., etc. But it is iconic Liquid, and I think they are going to be strongest when we can play a comfort but kind of flashy mid, and I think TA is one of his strongest heroes, and I think you're going to get most success when he's on a hero that he can excel with, and when he can take control and dictate the game with. He was out of control this game, and then I think similarly when Miracle's on a more farmy, more position 1 orientated hero that's going to come through mid-late game, that's when they're going to be strongest again. And so it really came together this series. Glad to see.
I didn't watch this one, but looking at the
there's
just too much Dota to fit
in.
Dota
overload.
It went too late into. I mean, at my work day, I couldn't keep watching. Yeah. But looking at the post game, very low death total. I mean, it's like half of the team's deaths are all on GH, which is fine as a Tusk. You have Chen didn't die a single time, Miracle twice, and TA once. TA's like SF. If you keep killing the TA, she's not going to have a game, but 1 death, that's pretty much perfect.
Yeah. Also, Liquid were actually a few K gold behind quite early on. The lanes weren't going very well. Kuroki's first impact in the first 5-7 minutes was, to me, that was quite...
Pause for a Chen.
Yeah, it wasn't there. It felt like they were playing 4v5, and it showed in the gold lead that TNC pretty quickly got. Kuku on his Batrider, he got a double kill maybe on Troll Tusk at some point. So in the first 5, 7, 8 minutes, it looked really good for TNC, but then Liquid understand the hero so well, and the GH Tusk in particular, and the TA, we know this hero spikes really quick when he gets his levels, and they started like literally snowballing and finding kills. Liquid Miracle started finding his farm. The Tide made some pretty strong plays, and we have started, running the show.
How many, how many Wraith King ults did they get off? Because I see that Troll had a 14-minute Deso, or a 14-minute Diffusal Blade, which is like way too early for the Wraith King to be level 20 for reincarnation.
Definitely. I was a bit confused, honestly, so he very rarely got it off, but I always felt like Miracle only hit him a few times. But I guess he was just already half mana or something, and then...
Well, he doesn't have a wand.
Under the threshold. No wand would be pretty questionable.
And he never even ended up level 20. The game ended and he's level 19.
Surely he bought and sold a wand. If he didn't, that's serious PSA. You should buy a wand on a Wraith King.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
really good, yeah.
The Diffusal really did stop a few ults.
I really like Miracle on a Troll because it's not... I prefer him on a Troll than, say, a Wraith King, which is what Gabby was playing in this game. Or even someone like a Lifestealer. Troll to me feels like that. The way his ult works, being invulnerable, and when you play it with this Diffusal Blade, rather than the old-style Battle Fury Troll we used to see earlier in the season, he can be more active in those knife-edge plays. The classic Liquid to me is, like was said earlier, they play a solid draft, they execute pretty well, just with skill, and they're there, and then they win the game with some miracle magic. Now they can win it with some Weehaw magic as well. But Troll feels like a hero where they can provide that. Also, I would say, at the end of the game, TNC just had no damage. They had no damage. Armel died twice on this Kunkka throughout the whole game. He had like a 5 kill streak, like, near the end of the game. He was like 5-0 and they lost 2 racks. Because they could just ignore him. He went Shadowblade, Halberd. The Wraith King had nothing in this game. He had Radiance, Blink. That was it. And he couldn't decide whether to go BKB or AC. He gets
Casual
one component for each. Yeah. And they have a Cuckoo Batrider who's got like Buckler Blink. It's like, great. They have no damage at all. And so Liquid were just getting racks, just ignoring Kunkka, getting big kills on Tims and AU. They got the diebacks on those heroes and then just ended the game effectively. Armel didn't die until his second death in the game was a fountain dive when they'd already GG'd.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Wraith King Kunkka as like your duo core. It feels weird.
Yeah, I don't like it. EG have played it earlier in the tournament and it was really bad.
I think it can only work if you really snowball hard in that first 20-minute period.
That's what
if
I
it doesn't,
agree.
You're just going to struggle. And coming back to this point of Liquid being comfort and picking these heroes that they know so well and playing a strategy they know so well, 23 minutes comes around and you've got BKBs on both cores, you've got Blink Vlads on your Tide, you've got a mech on your Chen, and your TA's got BKB, Blink Dezo. They know Liquid, they hit that minute, they go as 5, they're not dying. Chen was doing... That's a lot of heal to come out. He's got all this creep that are giving all these auras like magic resist. You've got BKBs online. You've got damage at the same time that a Kunkka and Leo can't output. And so they knew they could just completely roll over TNC, which is exactly what they did. And like we said, TNC needed to have smashed the first 20 minutes a lot harder than they did. So yeah, just Liquid way too strong.
Yeah, and also, my last word, bringing up the Kunkka Wraith King. I would much rather see a Radiance on the Kunkka and see an Armlet Deso on Wraith King. Especially when you've got a Batrider. You want to blow during a lasso duration. You've got a Radiance Wraith King and sure you can try and follow up with bow and stuff. There are snowball saves available. But this Shadowblade Halberd build on Kunkka just feels so gross. It feels like
swap their item builds, honestly.
Exactly, yeah.
Halberd's good on a Wraith King.
It's good. It's better. I prefer it on Wraith King than... I just feel like Kunkka, if he doesn't go Radiance, I just don't really like it as much. And Shadowblade, second item into a Halberd, it's like, all you're offering is... You're like an offlaner. All you're offering is Halberd and control with X-Mark and your
Shadowblade is a bit iffy. I mean, we've seen mid Kunkkas when they stomp, they've gone like Lotus Orb first, or Solar Crest, or even
Crest would have been nice.
Spirit Vessel. Yeah.
Yeah, Spirit Vessel also would have been okay, I guess. I think Crest could have worked, probably, because it is a great item and it is nice against the high physical of Liquid, but in the end, TNC fall. First phase Meepo ban, by the way, from TNC, which I thought was kind of crazy levels of respect ban. They're not going to first pick a Meepo, but they are going to first pick a Shadow Demon. So if you're going to pick Chen on 7 and ignore Shadow Demon, I'd much rather see them just ban Shadow Demon on 6 and let Meepo go through the first phase. Because then the only time Liquid are going to pick Meepo is on 22, absolute last pick, or maybe on 21. That's the only time they're going to do it. So I think they just over-respect this Meepo and they get punished with Shadow Demon. Or rather... Oh, I'm looking at it the wrong way. They get punished with Chen, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. What I just said makes no sense.
I mean, yeah, TNC get the OP Shadow Demon, sure, but by banning Meepo, they don't ban iconic Kuroki Chen. You've got problems.
Final game of the day then. This is such a funny game because I feel the draft from TNC, just looking at the heroes they've got, so I'll just show you TNC's, because it feels like they've got a fatal flaw in their draft, in that it's so easy to hard counter them. They have an Oracle 5, then a Mirana, Tidehunter, Death Prophet, Bristleback. They're the 3 cores. So they're all in for this Bristleback, Death Prophet, running up your high ground, impossible to kill with an Oracle behind, and a Ravage available. That's basically their strat. Liquid draft D-push and wave splitting and stuff like that. Underlord, Firestorm, they have a Leshrac, they have an Anti-Mage, which is their be-all, end-all carry that's going to come back and win the game for them. Obviously, a big wave splitter and creep cutter and stuff. And they have Shadow Demon as well, Shadow Poison and more D-push, Fade Bolt, more D-push.
TNC's last ban is actually weird to me because their draft, like the heroes you've said, they're this slow lineup that is just going to ball up or wants to ball up, that don't really have lockdown or gank. They just have like a meatball of heroes with a Ravage for lockdown. So why do they ban a Medusa who's
Mystic
also really
Snake.
Okay for the Mystics? Okay for that. Even so, they want to be pushing tier 3s at 20 minutes in my eyes, and I think at 20 minutes, yeah, you could have a Mystic Snake, but I don't think it's too much.
Medusa's not cutting creep waves.
But yeah, your issue is mobility, creep cutting, someone dragging the game out, anti-mage. And Liquid just go, yes, this dream anti-mage game. And from minute 20, when TNC have not stepped up high ground yet, to me it was just, this is over, they've got no chance. They physically cannot end the game because Liquid are just all over the map. Lesh and anti-mage way too mobile. They're killing every creep wave. Like Stan said, they've got so much D-push. TNC just literally cannot do anything.
OD Fogged said it. OD Fogged were commentating this game, and there was a point where I think TNC had a gold lead, sort of like 25 minutes into the game, or 25 to 30 minutes is even gold, if not TNC advantage. OD Fogged are like, it doesn't seem possible for TNC to win this game. They can't get a creep wave past their river.
Yeah.
They literally couldn't get a creep wave past the river.
They also can't kill any hero. They can't kill a Lesh or an anti-mage because they don't have lockdown. Lesh would BKB TP out a couple times because they've got literally an arrow to set up any gank, and then they've got no follow-up disable after the arrow. You've got no way in hell you're going to catch an anti-mage.
Yeah. And
so you can't even do that strategy. They can't even push high ground because of the D-push of Liquid.
There was one time they went to push high ground. One time they get all 5 of their heroes together with a creep wave. So what do Liquid do? First of all, Miracle cuts the second creep wave that's following them into mid wave. Then goes top. Leshrac is, or rather goes bottom. Leshrac is top. They do this big, Death Prophet ulti with Exorcism and such things. Liquid glyph the wave. Then they nuke the creeps, hitting tower, with Fade Bolt. They just have 3 heroes. They have their Rubik, their Shadow Demon, and their Underlord. They Firestorm, Fade Bolt, throw out some poison. TNC don't even get the mid tier 3. Meanwhile, they lose 2 tier 3 towers, 1 top and 1 bottom to Miracle ratting and Leshrac ratting. And that was just the epitome of the game right there.
Yeah.
Because backdoor kicks in before they even get the tier 3. That's just for TNC because they just got D-pushed, and it's like, that's it. I mean,
it was so straightforward for Liquid. They knew exactly what they needed to do, and it was so obvious, but also obvious to the world. And TNC must have felt pretty dumb when, not dumb, but they also knew what was happening to them. But just with the heroes they have, a Crob and a Bristleback could not cope with a pacey Lesh anti-mage splitting the game. And I think Stan has said that TNC favour this Bristleback pick, but this game really showed its weakness, because it might have smashed the lane in, Pitlord got pushed out of lane, Bristleback was really farmed, 21 minutes he has Lotus, Solar Crest, and a Hood. He's a monster at 21 minutes, but then he could just never hit anyone, he couldn't even hit towers. And then what's the point of the hero? Honestly, TNC really, I don't know. I think they messed up. Well, maybe they didn't mess up, but they made it hard for themselves. Really hard for themselves.
If you look at their bans and their picks, it's a bit of like unlocking into their mindset. If they're banning Medusa last ban, obviously Liquid go on to pick Anti-Mage, they're imagining them picking a hero for Miracle that's like some big, slow, tanky hero like a Medusa. If that's the kind of game they're expecting, then maybe they think their lineup can work, because if they were against Medusa, it may well win. Yeah. But in the end, they just picked this Anti-Mage. It's like the perfect Anti-Mage game.
It's funny
and
also.
It's like, you're getting a completely different game to the one you think you are. You're just going to get Rat Dota, Kill Creeps Dota.
And you are useless.
You can't do anything. Your heroes you've got 3 core heroes that are useless.
It's really funny. Kuroki had the right idea in mind for TNC, because Kuroki's last ban is Void, and that is the position 1 that if TNC had, they now have a Chrono setup on an Anti-Mage or a Lesh with an Arrow follow-up. They now have, literally just that. They have a hero that can, with items, make kills happen, make plays happen, force tier 3s better, force team fights better, and Kuroki acknowledges that and goes, Void is the perfect ban, and then TNC follow up with the most useless hard carry of Bristleback. OG showed Bristleback being really strong, but this game it just couldn't work.
It was so different for OG, the way they played the Bristle. They have an IO on him, and they already OG when they played Newbee. They won the lanes. They weren't against crazy split push heroes. Yeah. They have an IO that can relocate anywhere. That's correct. Really good mobility. And I can't even remember what hero Seb was playing.
They had way more lock control.
They had Omni Knight. Omni Knight. It just worked, and they pushed high ground at 20 minutes. So
that's what you meant. That's what you have to do. If you've got a farm Bristleback.
In this game, it felt like all 3 of TNC's cores, well, particularly Death Prophet and Bristle, they did like the same thing, and they're both just as useless as each other.
Yeah. So it was Liquid's game to win. Literally 20 minutes in, I felt they couldn't lose.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, if they finish it before Miracle comes online, then it looks great. But eventually, the net worth advantage is kind of, it doesn't actually tell the true story, right? It's like, it's not going to stay this way forever.
It doesn't tell the true story, for sure. Even earlier than... So 20 minutes in, it was like, Liquid can't lose this game. Or rather, TNC can't win this game. Just as well put.
Yeah.
But then even earlier than that, you could see it coming. It felt like you could see it coming from like 10 minutes in. Because already the Lesh was just split. There was a point where, when TNC had their biggest gold lead, there was a point where they push and get mid-tier 1 maybe for TNC. And Lesh gets the top tier 2.
Yeah.
Just with an Underlord. And then stays, cuts another wave, and it's like, it was like the foreshadowing was already there of TNC's demise. They just got out-pushed, out-mobility on the map.
But then there were numerous times as well where they would try and kill the Lesh, who's got BOTs and was at 507 movement speed. And there was literally just this cat and mouse chase of 3 TNC heroes running after this speedy Lesh, who they have no spells or items to lock down, and let's waste minutes. I'm going to waste 30 seconds doing this, lose all map control, lose all creep wave advantage, and that happened about 5 times that game. It was pretty sad for TNC fans.
Yeah, sad to see TNC bow out there. Join us again tomorrow, the last day of TI with 4 series. And there are some crackers there, particularly the last 2 series of the day, the upper bracket round 2. OG versus EG again, same as last year. And LGD again, same as last year, this time against Vici Gaming. It's crazy how they have 3 upper bracket round 1 games that are exactly the same, and all 3 of them produce the same result.
Yeah.
Marco and Adam will be hoping that OG EG doesn't produce the same result.
Please.
Although we'll see. If the series is as good as it was last year, no matter who wins, then I think a lot of people will be happy, because it was quite an epic series. So that's it. Join us again then.